Hey guys, today I am reacting to the 10 largest forests on Earth by Atlas Pro. So let's give it a go, see how it is.
Forest. Covering 20% of all land on Earth, they are by far the dominant terrestrial biome on the planet, with the majority of both plant and animal species residing within forested areas.
Makes sense.
Forests create highly productive lands with diverse ecosystems and help to stabilize our climate by producing oxygen and sequestering carbon dioxide. It should suffice to say that forests are among the most important natural features on our planet, and life on Earth wouldn't be the same without them. Unfortunately, this tremendous value has been overlooked in the past centuries as our world's forests have diminished to nearly half the size they once were. Before the Industrial Revolution,
That is actually quite a bit sad though. And I'd imagine the biggest forest, would be probably the Amazon. I'd imagine maybe somewhere in Southeast Asia as well. Where else? And then of course, I guess North America with its forests and such. I mean, where else is there such a large concentration of forests? I guess especially like the Northeast and the Pacific Northwest as well, Alaska and such. Just by looking at this map, I guess.
Covered a total area of 60 million square kilometers of the surface of the Earth, which is 40% of all the land surface on the planet. But around the year 1850, as the human population exploded and the demand for space and resources skyrocketed, vast portions of the land were cleared for use in agriculture, human habitation, and resource extraction. Of the 60 million square kilometers of forest that covered the Earth not too long ago, only about 30 million square kilometers remain, and every year around 73,000 square kilometers of forest is lost. So, in honor of some of the Earth's most important and threatened habitat, let's take a look at the 10 largest forests on Earth.
And we should always make sure to replant when we take down a tree, like replant 2 or something like that. I think that's Bhutan's national policy or something. So just replanting a tree after you've cut down one seems like a good idea. At least 2.
I just want to make a quick distinction between a forest and a woodland. To most people, they're synonymous, but there is...
Yeah, for me, it'd be pretty damn synonymous, I'd imagine. I guess I would think maybe a forest has more foliage, more like leaves and tree cover.
There is an actual difference between the two words. Though slightly arbitrary, a woodland is an area with less than half of the ground covered by woody vegetation, like short trees and shrubs, while forests are a lot more dense, typically with taller trees and more than 50% of the ground covered by vegetation. Instead, woodlands are most commonly
somewhat dense.
Seen as a transition area between forests and grassland biomes. This definition means most Mediterranean and developed areas won't make it onto this list, as they qualify as woodlands and not true forests. Now that we have that out of the way,
it's still biodiverse, but yeah, not as dense.
Let's get started. Number 10 is the Primorye coniferous forest in Russia's far east subject of Primorsky Krai. Being the largest country on Earth, Russia is going to hold a couple of the world's largest forests, and you should expect to see it on this list again. But here, in the Primorye forest, an impressive amount of diversity is to be found, especially when compared to other conifer forests of Russia. This is most likely a result of the fact that this land was avoided by glaciation in the past few ice ages, whereas lands further north became heavily glaciated within the past few thousand years, which prevented the diversification that occurred further south. Living here is the Ussuri black bear, Manchurian sika deer, and an impressive array of
I like the antlers on that guy.
Great cats, including the Amur leopard, the Eurasian lynx, and the Siberian tiger.
Oh yeah, Siberian tigers, yeah. Siberian tigers, just tigers in general, are more like an Asian thing. When I was young, I used to think there might be tigers in Africa, but then I learned, yeah, all tigers are pretty much in Asia. Like, I guess, Middle East and East Asia and, North Asia and all that. And Southeast Asia.
Where the Primorye forest is actually...
And of course, I think India has the largest population of tigers.
The last refuge of the extremely endangered tiger, with a maximum population of only around 540 individuals, though fortunately has been stable and increasing since 2005 when the population was only 393. This is also the only place on Earth where bears, tigers, and leopards coexist.
Oh damn, epic. And that leopard looks a lot more chunky and thick. And that bear looks a bit small, huh?
This forest is also some of the last habitat for Blakiston's fish owl, the largest owl on Earth. Aside from the Korean pines and Manchurian firs that make up most of the forest, many plants here are relict species found nowhere else on Earth, including several species of fern and lotus plants. Another result of the great
lotus. That looks cool.
Diversity found here is that many plants in the Primorye forest also offer medicinal benefits, and research is continually being conducted in this area. Due to its proximity to the Pacific Ocean, the climate here also qualifies as a temperate rainforest, although temperatures vary wildly based on the season, as during the summer nearly tropical conditions persist, while Arctic conditions exist throughout winter. Due to the Primorye's remote location and impressive conservation efforts under the Soviet Union, it has remained almost entirely intact over the years. Only recently have commercial operations.
Damn, I thought it was going good, but now recent commercial, huh?
Started to expand as Russia enters economic hardships. Funding for conservation has fallen from the federal government down to more regional powers, and as a result, the forest is less protected now. However, the area still receives good funding from the international community, and funnily enough, the United States is the greatest donator of funds to help.
I mean, the U.S. is actually pretty near. I mean, if we take a lot of interest in the Pacific, yeah, after all.
Help in the preservation of these lands. As a result of these efforts,
at least it's being funded, so yeah.
The Primorye forest is 130,000 square kilometers and consists mostly of old-growth forest. This is an impressively preserved forest and sadly more of an exception to the rule for this list, especially for the next forest. Number 9 is the Burmese tropical rainforest in the modern country of Myanmar. What was once part of the greater Southeast Asian rainforest has sadly now receded into just a few pockets of forest between settlements. This was some of the oldest
Damn, that's quite sad.
Rainforest on Earth, as the climate here has remained virtually constant for around 140 million years, in part due to its proximity to the coast of the Indian and Pacific Oceans, and its location near the equator. As ice encroached from the North and South Poles, many species from the surrounding lands came to this area for refuge, and as a result, the forest became highly diverse over the years, and today the area hosts a wide variety of animals, such as the Asian.
That actually makes a lot of sense, just species and animals going to this really hot region to avoid the cold.
Elephant, Bengal tiger, and the Sunda pangolin, and is especially rich in primate species such as lemurs.
I've always thought pangolins look pretty cool.
Macaques, and gibbons, many of which live their entire lives in the canopy, never venturing to the forest floor. Dominant trees here are in the Dipterocarpaceae family, which are emergent trees with the characteristics of being tall and skinny with leaves only at the top. Sadly, these qualities make the trees attractive to loggers for their suitable use in construction. And as I mentioned earlier, this forest used to be part of a far larger ecosystem, and today it continues to shrink due to both legal and illegal logging operations. Myanmar also used to be a highly isolated country, which helped protect its forests, but as the nation begins to interact with its neighbors and open itself up to foreign investment, it is likely that the forest becomes burdened with greater reductions in the future. Unless serious
And I hope my situation gets better in the first place. Politics and such,
Serious conservation efforts are started soon. All of what was once the great Southeast Asian rainforest on mainland Asia could be gone in our lifetime. As it stands now, the Burmese rainforest is 233,000 square kilometers, which is much larger than the last entry on this list, but nothing compared to what it once was. Number 8 is the Valdivian temperate rainforest. Located in Chile and Argentina, it's not the first.
I mean, this is also why cities are a better idea and just more dense places, dense towns. Just because you don't destroy the local environment. That's why suburban environments, like suburban sprawls, are really bad. And the U.S. kind of got overlooked, the U.S. and Canada and such. So it's destroyed a lot of nature in the U.S. and in Canada by just spreading and sprawling. Because at least cities contain it. And they sprawl up a bit. It's also better for the people, but I'm just saying, cities are better for the environment generally, actually, than just sprawling out. Because you're not chopping down all the forest and such to make land.
Rainforest people consider when thinking about South America, but
I didn't think of this actually. I was not thinking of Chile.
Still rather impressive. The Valdivian is one of the newest forests on Earth, with the land where it now grows having been completely covered by the Patagonian ice sheets up until around 17,000 years ago. That means this forest hasn't even existed for all of human history.
Oh,
Despite
wow.
having been covered by glaciers, most of the forest's diversity was preserved in the northern reaches of the forest. And being a vertically arranged forest, there's a good deal of variation in climate and ecosystem type as you change latitudes. In the north is a climate similar to the Mediterranean, which is relatively dry and warm, and the trees are mostly deciduous, meaning they lose their leaves every year, which is another thing that's uncommon in South America.
Seems more woodlandy, yeah, but I guess it qualifies as a forest because it's part of that.
As you move south, the moisture level increases and true temperate rainforests emerge. This is what most of the Valdivian forest consists of. But then further south, the elevation increases and you get a more alpine forest consisting
Alpine forests are nice. Hopefully that is preserved.
mostly of conifers, similar to the forests of New Zealand. And for some reason, many of the animals found here are quite small, including the kolokolo possum, the pudu, the world's smallest deer,
That's so cute. That
and the
deer.
kodkod, the smallest wild cat in the
That cat is also really cute.
Americas. Trees here mostly belong to the Nothofagus, the Fitzroya, or bamboo families. Today, little of the Valdivian is
Oh,
protected,
bamboo.
and it's currently being logged extensively to use the rich timber. And in the place of the important big trees which take many years to grow are smaller, faster-growing tree species such as eucalyptus, which don't do nearly as good of a job in preserving the habitat here.
You need several different species of trees, not just one. You can't just plant one tree. That's a monoculture.
Despite this threat, however, the Valdivian comes in at around 248,000 square kilometers. Number 7 is the Borneo tropical rainforest. This also used to be included in the Southeast Asian rainforest, but has since become isolated into its own ecosystem, located on the third largest island on Earth. Like the Burmese rainforest, the Borneo rainforest is also some of the oldest on Earth, at around 140 million years old. As a result, this area hosts an abundance of biodiversity and endemic species, featuring 10,000 plant species, which includes over 2,000 species of orchid alone. Perhaps the most interesting orchid species found here are the 5 types of Rafflesia flowers, known for smelling strongly of rotting flesh to attract flies for pollination. Within this group of flowers is Rafflesia arnoldii, the largest single flower on the planet, which comes in at roughly a meter in diameter. As for
Dang.
animals, many extremely endangered species call Borneo home. The Sumatran rhinoceros, known for having 2 horns, is the rarest species of rhino to exist, with only about 275 still alive in the
Needs to
wild.
be preserved.
Also found here are the critically endangered Bornean orangutan, which are
Yeah, I've heard of. I knew orangutans were in Southeast Asia, especially like in Indonesia. I've heard of so, but I guess Borneo makes sense as well, of course, because Indonesia owns some Borneo as well, almost Borneo. But yeah, that's really sad to see orangutans. They're really close relatives of us, and it's like the only I think Asian great ape besides humans still around. So sad. Hopefully, they can be preserved.
hunted and either captured for sale as pets or killed for their meat. All animals here also suffer from habitat loss, as more of the forest is converted
Kind of close to cannibalism.
to plantations for rubber and palm oil. And while there are some
Yep, I heard palm oil plantations really are bad for the orangutans, and it's not even a native species. Palm oil is from Africa. Coconut, at least I think is native to Southeast Asia, but not palm oil. And coconut has its own problems as well.
large nature preserves on the island, such as the Kayan Mintarang National Park and the Bitang Karahun National Park. Much of the forest is still in danger of further reductions. Currently, the rainforest of Borneo is around 290,000 square kilometers, but as this forest accounts for nearly half of the tropical timber trade, it will likely continue to diminish in size unless more is done.
They should make like a really large national park, like just like a reserve, a really large one. Like it should be like 5 times the size of that at least.
Number 6 is right beside Borneo and very similar in a lot of ways, and that is the tropical rainforest of New Guinea, on the second largest island on Earth. But unlike Borneo, the rainforests of New Guinea are mostly preserved, with only the southern regions of the island being developed to any extent. This rainforest can be seen as the largest and greatest bastion of the Southeast Asian rainforest. Here, between 5 and 10% of all the species on Earth reside, roughly equal to all the species found in Australia. And despite being geographically close to Borneo at only 1,300 kilometers away, the animals of New Guinea are more common to those of Australia, as the New Guinean landmass is actually part of the Australian continental plate, and the two lands were once joined into a single continent called Sahul. Species found here include marsupials like tree kangaroos and wallabies, as well as monitor lizards and the Reggiana bird of paradise. However, much of the island remains unexplored, and New Guinea represents some of the greatest opportunities for discovering new species. And on top of being
Hopefully it's preserved.
extremely biodiverse, there's also a thriving tribal culture on the island, hosting almost 1,000 different tribes and almost the same number of languages, making the
Heard it's like one of the most diverse places.
island also the most linguistically diverse place on the planet. And of these tribes, an estimated 44 have remained uncontacted by outsiders to this day. Due to the roughness of the land and the low populations hosted here, the rainforest of New Guinea has remained virtually intact at 545,000 square kilometers. Okay, we're halfway through this list and we're beginning to reach the truly massive forests of Earth. At number 5, we have the Congo tropical rainforest. And like its name suggests, the Congo rainforest closely surrounds the Congo River, but also spans into 7 other African nations. It is here in this forest that many iconic African animals live, including some of the world's largest primates, like chimpanzees, gorillas, and bonobos, as well as other ginormous animals like hippopotamus and African elephants, which is the biggest land animal on Earth. Sadly, there are high rates of poaching and theft of animals for international trade here, and many animals need armed guards to remain undisturbed. Like New Guinea,
Respect to those gods. Stop poachers.
there's also a good amount
I didn't expect the forest to be that large.
of indigenous human habitation here without causing degradation to the forest. Tribes here include the Ba'aka, the Ba'umbuti, the Efi people, and around 150 more. And many of these people have been classified as a race known as Pygmy, which are distinct from surrounding Africans, and are known for being far shorter than average heights. Although
I've heard of pygmy people, yeah.
forest is not very diverse, having a biodiversity lower than any other forest mentioned on this list so far, it is extremely dense and difficult to navigate. It was the inspiration for Joseph Conrad's famous book, Heart of Darkness, and is seldom traversed by people who do not live here. As a result, the Congo rainforest has also remained roughly intact through industrialization, and in fact it has some of the lowest deforestation rates of any major world rainforest. However, this area is also very rich in resources such as oil, diamonds, and gold, and the rainforest lies within some of the poorest countries on Earth. Because of this, the rainforest may soon face new threats of development and resource extraction, and in the future more will need to be done to ensure the protection of these lands. Still, the Congo rainforest remains the second largest rainforest on Earth at 1,780,000 square kilometers. The next 3 forests were all once part of a single continuous band around the Earth, much like how the Burmese, Borneo, and New Guinea forests were all part of the Southeast Asian rainforest. But unlike it, this forest has become broken up not because of human encroachment, but rather because of changing sea levels and climate. The 4th, 3rd, and 2nd largest forests on Earth, respectively, are the Scandinavian Russian taiga, the East Siberian taiga, and the Canadian boreal forest, collectively called taiga, and they constitute the largest biome on Earth outside of the oceans. While the Scandinavian taiga is the smallest of the 3, it's still the largest biome of Europe, and one of the last true wildernesses to be found on the continent. Here, the trees are an equal mix of spruce, pines, and birch. In the eastern Siberian taiga, also found almost entirely within the borders of Russia, the forest is largely dominated by larch trees. And while the Canadian boreal forest stretches from Alaska to Quebec, it consists mostly of spruce trees. The fauna found in all 3 of these forests is also pretty similar, where you'll find moose, reindeer, black, brown, Asiatic, and polar bears, wood bison, Canadian and Eurasian lynx, foxes, wolves, wolverines, just a bunch of different salamanders, and
X-Men Origins Wolverine.
toads, and most impactful out of them all, beavers. Despite their size though, the taiga forests are fairly poor in terms of biodiversity, and this can be attributed to the most recent ice ages, as all these lands were covered by glaciers as recently as 2.6 million years ago during the Pleistocene epoch. Therefore, species here haven't had the same amount of time as tropical species to specialize and speciate. Among the forests on this list, the taiga definitely has the most harsh climate conditions, as the taiga hugs the Arctic Circle and several months out of the year are spent under several feet of snow. At times, the taiga can even become colder than the tundra, and the coldest temperature ever recorded in the northern hemisphere at -68 degrees Celsius was in the Russian taiga, in the town of Oymyakon. Taiga forests are also very important when talking about the climate, as these forests sequester more carbon out of the atmosphere than all of the tropical and temperate forests combined. Conservation of these areas in the past has been successful, as the Soviet Union put harsh restrictions on the use of their taiga. But that has begun to change, again due to Russia's recent economic downturn. Entrepreneurs from China have begun to look to Siberia to fuel the huge demand for timber in their country, and most of the forests of Canada are unprotected and open for harvesting as well, with only around 8% of the forest here protected by the government. But there are regulations to at least make sure companies rehabilitate the land once they've used it. Together, this single biome and these 3 forests account for 30% of the Earth's total forests, and take 3 of the top 4 places on this list, with the Scandinavian Russian taiga at 2,156,000 square kilometers, the East Siberian taiga at 3,900,000 square kilometers, and the Canadian Boreal forest on top at a whopping 4,200,000 square kilometers.
Dang.
And while all 3 are impressive, there's still one more
I wasn't even expecting this, like, Siberian, taiga type forest. But I'm thinking the Amazon would be first, of course.
forest that beats them all. At number 1, you've probably guessed it by now, is the Amazon tropical rainforest. Covering land in 9 nations, the Amazon represents more than half of the world's remaining rainforest. Not only is the Amazon the world's largest rainforest, it's also the most
And I guess if you look at it, since it's like south, it looks smaller on the map, but it's probably a lot larger than we think. Yeah, just because the Russian one is so like stretched out due to the Mercator projection. I'd imagine if you looked at the Amazon rainforest and like really stretch it out, like if you put it up there, it'd be a lot larger.
biodiverse, with 1 in 10 species on the planet existing here and nowhere else, including 1 in 5 bird species on Earth, and even 1 in 5 fish species on the planet live within the Amazon River network. Together, the Amazon is the world's largest collection of plants and animals, with 16,000 species of tree alone, and current estimates project there to be 390 billion trees to exist within the forest. Animals found here include the jaguar, the anaconda, anteaters, spider monkeys, poison dart frogs, iguanas, macaws, toucans, parakeets, the brown-throated sloth, and so many more. There are many theories as to why this region is so dense with endemic species found nowhere else on Earth, and most have to do with the age of the Amazon rainforest itself, which is around
That would make sense.
55 million years old. In the past, rainforest encompassed nearly all of North and South America, and many different species spread across these different lands. But as the climate cooled during the Eocene epoch, something I covered in great detail in my last video, the forest shrank to where it is now, and all the species contained within either had to retreat or die off. Currently, we are seeing the further shrinking of the Amazon rainforest, not due to the climate, but as a result of human interaction, and the Amazon has already lost 20% of its area, or nearly 800,000 square kilometers. That's more area than the Primorye, Burmese, and Valdivian forests combined. Most of the forest being cleared is to make room for cattle pastures or soy farming, but once cleared,
Literally, that stuff is not even. I mean, we have like other methods of production now, like vertical farming, and just like even like I think aqua farming. Like you can get more like vegetables from the sea, and yeah. I mean, honestly, there's other ways to do things nowadays. You don't need to just clear forests to make land for growing crops, and they're growing mostly like soy, and they're using it for like animals, like cows and such, which is a waste of land. If people just ate more vegetables instead, you'd need way less land in the first place. And we have other options like vertical farming nowadays.
cleared of its forest, the Amazonian soil quickly loses its fertility, and in order to continue to grow crops here, farmers will continually burn and clear new sections
Holy fuck, that sucks.
of land, leaving the old ones to wither. And now, the deforestation of the Amazon can even be seen from space. What has been done to sections of the Amazon has been deemed by some as ecocide. To make things even worse, as more forest is cleared, moisture given off by evapotranspiration diminishes, and fewer inches of overall rainfall come to the region, making agriculture logistically unsustainable and making it harder for new forest to grow back. There is actually surprisingly little economic benefit for clearing the forest for pastoral fields, despite what many might think. And as more of the forest is destroyed, the land becomes overall less productive. Interestingly, according to a study, if left intact, a single hectare of the forest could produce a revenue of up to $6,800 a
Fuck, yeah, keep it intact, definitely.
year if it's sustainably harvested for the fruit and down timber, compared to only $1,000 per hectare if it's cleared for commercial timber, and only $148 if the land is cleared for cattle pastures, which is what 90% of the forest is being.
So cattle pastures are the freaking least productive. Stop with the cattle pastures then, obviously.
Cleared for. Currently, only around 1,730,000 square kilometers are protected, which is roughly the same size as the entire Congo rainforest, but less than half of the Amazon's total area. Fortunately, people are beginning to recognize that maybe protecting the world's most important ecosystem is a good idea, and conserved land is increasing fast, while deforestation rates have dropped to only around 5,000 square kilometers a year, from a high of 27,000 in 2004. Someday, hopefully soon, we'll get those numbers down to zero, or even better, begin replanting and restoring parts of the Amazon that have already been destroyed. As it stands now, however, the Amazon is still the largest forest on Earth, measuring up to 5,500,000 square kilometers. That's roughly the same size as the entire United States, including Alaska.
Oh, wow. Huh, damn. Hopefully we start replanting too.
In all, the Amazon rainforest represents more than half of the world's remaining rainforest, and remains a stronghold of wilderness in this rapidly developing world. Thanks for watching this video, hopefully you enjoyed it, and if you'd like to help the cause of protecting what remains of the world's forests, you can donate to places like the World Land Trust, the Rainforest Trust, and the World Wildlife Fund, which do great work in purchasing and protecting endangered lands from further destruction. Also, please consider liking this video or even subscribing to my channel. This video took a lot of time to research, and most of the information on the internet is either misleading or wrong, and what I ended up doing was tracing each forest on Google Earth to get an accurate number. I'll be coming out with more videos like this each week, so please subscribe if you're interested in that. Next week's video will be about what forests didn't make it onto this list, so make sure to check in then. Thanks.
It really does seem like it took a lot of work to make. I mean, this is honestly amazing. It's a really good video. I mean, not just for informational purposes, but just for conservation efforts, maybe getting people into the subject. Let's check what's on the comments. Fun fact, the reason why Finland has so much forest left, even though it's one of the world's largest producers of timber, is that by law, every single tree that has been cut for commercial purposes must be replaced by new tree saplings. Why tree? Because it's about 1/3 chance that a sapling grows into a tree. Damn. And hopefully, it's like diverse species. Hopefully it's not a monoculture. I heard Japan built like a monoculture of like cedar trees, and that also causes a lot of pollution, I heard. But yeah, that's good. Good on Finland. And also Bhutan, I've heard, does a lot of the same thing, so yeah. Nice, that is smart. Finns are also famous for best education in schools in general. Respect. But Finns also have less biodiversity in their forests, so it would probably be easier to maintain the forest, so that's actually a good thing. Just, make sure you don't plant the monoculture as well, though. Well, he said the Siberian taiga population is stable and rising. I felt a little bit of hope to humanity. Impressive conservation efforts under the Soviet Union. Maybe I treated you too harshly. Bears, leopards, and tigers coexist in India too. I've seen all tree and Bandipura forest. I didn't know that. I know tigers and leopards existed, but I didn't know bears were really much in India either. These Soviets really like their forests. People need to stop buying diamonds. They're not as valuable as you may think. True. It would be fair to mention that there are many people dying for defending the Amazon forest every year, mainly in Brazil and Colombia. God bless them, yeah, also in Indonesia. Oh man. I'm from Romania, and I want to announce that even the government and the country's president agreed to clear the forests in Romania, and no one is taking any action. Damn, that's really disappointing. Hopefully the forest in Romania can be saved. I know they have a really important delta along the Black Sea, I think, so hopefully they can preserve the forest though. You can start taking action. Forests need us to be saved. Yeah. Okay. I enjoyed the video, like I really did, and check out the original in the description box below. Make sure you subscribe to the original channel. Now, if you enjoyed my reaction, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.